I'll tell y'all, I'm a huge NBA fan. When football's on, nothing else is. Nothing. I don't care if it's the Browns playing the Titans. I'm watching the NFL.
Nah, real talk, bro.
It's just,
Real
and
talk.
I think
NFL
the
reigns
NFL
supreme.
and honestly, they know that. And I'll tell y'all this: I thought Beyonce's performance, like, that was amazing to me. I'm just like, man, like,
I ain't gonna start no war up here, so I'm gonna stay quiet, dog.
They pulled out all the stops for that. Even if you don't like Beyonce, you cannot sit there and say they had a full band. I'm talking about not a band like a drummer. Dog, they had a marching band. Like, they really did.
Hey,
like,
man, I have a PhD in Hayden, and it was alright, man.
Shabuzi, they had Shabuzi, man. They had Post Malone. Yeah. They had some people in there, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was.
Now I'm gonna say this, AOC. If you want to get haters on your one half, you don't mess with Taylor Swift and Beyonce. That's one thing I've learned.
I don't need either one of the two of you. I don't want you in my stuff. Now, just let me stop.
Hey, so on a Cowboys note, man, there's literally never a dull moment. So we had another topic, and then obviously the news just came out about CeeDee Lamb being shut down for the year. I'm gonna give my thoughts, and then we could just. I feel like there's gonna be people who say, "Well, he got his incentives, and
so
he's good now."
And if it is, so what? And if it is, so what, man?
I feel like CeeDee actually played harder. He probably should have been shut down 2-3 games ago. I don't think it had anything to do with incentives. I literally think that he's banged up. How do y'all feel about it?
Man, let me go first. Look, with something like this, I don't care what the reason is, man. If you saved 100 lives, you saved 100 lives. like straight up. So CeeDee, if it's for his incentives, I don't care. It still had a positive impact overall on the psyche of this team and letting them know what's acceptable, what's not, what type of mentality we're going to have on the football field, which one are we not going to have. CeeDee going out there and playing banged up, no matter what it is. It wasn't a Patty Mac situation. Patrick Mahomes always acting like he hurt every year, man. He wasn't hurt, man. You never seen nobody come back from no high ankle sprain that quick, running around, and then he see the camera. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be limping. My bad. It wasn't that, man. CeeDee went out there and set the example from a physical standpoint as far as just grittiness, and regardless if it was for his incentives or whatever, I appreciate you, CeeDee, and everybody in Cowboys Nation should be saluting that man and telling him to go have a good time at the Bahamas and heal up.
Law, how you feel?
With CeeDee doing what he did in these last few games, solidify the fact that we need another wide receiver on the opposite of him. Granted, Brandon Cook's been stepping up in these last few games, but I'm quite sure that John probably can break down whether or not the Cowboys going to find the money and the remuneration to pay Brandon Cooks. But I'm looking at it like, man, if Tet is there, if Luther Burden is there, I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb differently now because I know he can play through injuries. I know he can play through the echoes of the whistle. I know that he can catch the uncatchable or the uncomfortable catches for your quarterback to bail him out. And it took him a while to get to this point because CeeDee is not playing like he was week 2, week 3, week 4 because now he's in his tip-top era of shape now. So I want to marry that up for the 2025 season and all of that positive momentum. I want to take that for next year. Let's go. Let's pair up CeeDee Lamb with another playmaker on the other side, and let's go get this thing.
That's what I'm talking about, Law.
Let's go, baby.
You team offense in the first round. I hear it in your voice. I hear it.
Well, yeah, let's go then. Let's go.
Just stick with it. Go ahead, John. Go stick with it. Team offense, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, Law, because if you feel that way now, wait till you see his next 2 games without CeeDee and what the wide receivers are. That'll be all the proof that you need because I don't think it's going to be good. I thought Micah was really good in the locker room today talking about CeeDee. Now, this is before the news officially came out, but you kind of get the vibe just because he wasn't at practice. And CeeDee is a guy that always talks on Thursdays. And when we didn't see him at all, it was like, oh, there's something going on here. And then obviously the news came out a little bit after locker room was over. But Micah was good pointing out basically he called CeeDee quarterback proof in terms of it doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He can put up 1,000 yards. And he's shown you that with Cooper Rush, with Dak, and then also his rookie year with Andy Dalton. Now, CeeDee didn't get to 1,000. He was very close, but obviously he showed you, even if that whole season was Andy Dalton, that CeeDee could potentially put up a 1,000-yard season. And like Micah was saying, that's not the case for all receivers. A lot of times, even top receivers, when they lose their quarterback, their numbers go down, and that becomes an excuse like, well, they don't have this guy or whatnot. But yeah, we're going to see how much they need to put somebody else next to CeeDee in these next couple of games.
Yeah, fellas, when it comes to me, it's kind of like a tune that I had last year, and we see how good this rookie receiver class has been. I mean, somebody that I stood on the table for was Brian Thomas Jr. You remember that? We talked about him, and I think that there's going to be people who, when it comes to this draft, stop the run the ball, and I think weapon on offense is more like glaring of a need now than ever, because we've seen that if you give Zimmer just a little bit of time with this defense and you give him Micah Parsons, you want to talk about quarterback proof. How about Micah Parsons being defensive coordinator proof? Love Dan Quinn to death. Micah 100%.
Man, forget Dan Quinn. Ain't no Dan Quinn love up here, but
he 100% helped Dan Quinn get his job, and I just think that he's that good. He's going to get paid. I think that you now looked at and take that mindset on offense and say, well, okay, can I get more weapons around a CeeDee, around whoever your other running back is going to be? If you're going to re-sign Rico, whatever you're going to do. As far as CeeDee and Micah, the temperature this offseason was these guys don't care. They're all about the money. They're not good leaders. What an about face like that the fan base has to do with both of these guys.
I'm glad you said that.
I know, John, you were very even killed on the situation. There were top-ranking media people who these fans, our brash, looks to that completely trash Micah Parsons for whatever reason. For it was, okay, he doesn't study hard, or he's not the Sean Lee, Luke Kuechly type. He's not, and it was just like, okay. And so that being mixed with CeeDee's holdout. Well, it wasn't a CeeDee holdout for no reason. The guy deserves his money. He is who he says he is. He's the fastest guy to get to 5,000 yards since Jerry Rice. Like, that's not some small feat. 900 yards as a rookie. Everything else has been 1,000 yards. And he's done it without his quarterback. I told people, if he had Dak the rest of this year, easily 700 yards, 1,700 yards again. I mean, Cooper Rush has left about 3, 4, 5 touchdowns out there with CeeDee out there. Out on the same, not on the same page on third downs, all sorts of things. So CeeDee, like you said, AOC, if he wants to sit out, by all means, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro.
And he really giving us another blessing in disguise by doing that. If you really think about it, CeeDee Lamb has checked off every single box, like you just detailed. And on top of that, he gave us a little bonus chip, because now he's about to put the Cowboys front office in a situation where they have to watch this receiving core without CeeDee Lamb out there for the last 2 games. Now, the last thing that they're going to remember about their team is, oh my gosh, we need another receiver. That's going to be the last thing they remember after seeing these last 2 games. So thank you, CeeDee Lamb. You did it perfectly. You handled your business. You hit your incentives. You got your money, man. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, man. Get healthy, bro.
Yeah, you think about the Eagles. They're coming off a loss and where their secondary got tore up. 5 touchdowns. They're going to play these receivers hard this week. Get ready. A lot of press. Oh, CeeDee's not playing? Oh, we're going to send the house. A lot of press. So now, hey, Jerry, that 4th you gave up for Mingo?
Hey, let's see it, man.
Let's see it.
And to be fair to this wide receiver core, I'm not going to put nothing past them, even against the Eagles, because Quinyon Mitchell, I like what he can do, but he's subject to the double move, and Brandon Cooks still not chopped liver. John, is Brandon Cooks playing this weekend?
With CeeDee being out now, it makes me wonder. I think he will. Yeah. But even with that, I still think that against that secondary, against that defense, a team that's has a lot to still play for.
Correct.
I think it's going to look pretty ugly, man.
It's going to look ugly?
I don't see how it doesn't, to be honest with you.
Okay, we'll find out. And on top of that, we will see all what we can out of Jalen Tolbert, as well as if Flo can get out there and we can see what he can bring to the table. And
I like his energy. Yeah, I like
Mingo.
Ryan Flournoy's
Yeah.
energy.
I like his energy, man. But God,
Yeah, big
can we
body.
get some real man? Come on, man.
Well,
He's a sub 4-4 guy, so.
Well, you know what it is.
We need
AOC?
some blue chippers, man. We need some blue chippers.
I think what it is outside of CeeDee Lamb, you haven't attacked the position in the first round since
Ever.
Michael Irvin.
Yeah, but come on, man. Like, what are we talking
Dez.
about? Dez.
Yeah.
And you hit on Des. So I think you spot on, AOC. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I think we've gotten into such an NFL where it's like, oh, do the right thing, offensive lineman. Well, you've developed them too. You've developed a good O-line play. Now, Hoffman struggled a little bit, but that's Vita Vea. BB struggled, but that's Vita Vea, but they got the win. Like, you've developed some guys. You developed Terence Steele, who was undrafted.
Right.
What's wrong with giving your quarterback in this 4-year window that you want to maximize him another Ferrari? I told my draft, give Dak Ferraris and Corvettes. No more Camrys. No more Jalen Tolbert. And I love Jalen Tolbert. I thought he did great at the Senior Bowl. But we've seen, okay.
It's the
Tolbert,
twilight hour, bro.
Is he a yak guy? Can he make somebody miss? Not really. He'll get open, but that's about it. Is he a jump ball guy? No. Is he strong at the point of attack? No. Is he a good blocker? Absolutely not. Why Mike keeps making him block? I have no idea.
Hey, man, that man, he look like a Looney Tune out there trying to block, man. That man, his feet be in the air. I'm like, Tolbert, they're supposed to be on the ground, bro. What's going on right now?
Like I say, this draft can be very canning. Very like this. Either you can get Tet if he falls somehow, and then get a Marion or any of your other running backs that you kind of like, or you can go with Burden. And then you can still go with Amarion, or you can go with Ashton Genty and go with Emeka. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many, so many people that you can go with and still be afloat with where we picking at. So I can't wait, man. The 2025 season,
exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting,
man.
Where we picking at?
The other part of that is too is just the fact of, so if you bring back Mike McCarthy, then what is going to be the thing that really makes the offense any better than what it's been? And that's going to have to be an investment in the draft, because they're not going to do it in free agency. And so I do think that it kind of, the only thing that really hurts this is that they gave away the 4th for Mingo. But yeah I can definitely see a world where they draft a receiver and a running back with, 2 of their first 3 picks, because the offense needs some juice injected into it. I mean, it's fine to talk about what we've seen recently, but let's just go back to the way the season started. I mean, there wasn't enough there then. When most of the guys were healthy, and so I don't know how they're going to do it for sure. Whether it's a running back in the first round, wide receiver in the first round, but they have to add juice to this offense.
Yeah. Speaking of Mike McCarthy, John, that's a good note there. So for me, I told myself I'm going to stay neutral unless he beats Tampa Bay. Which I just got to tell people will sit on the internet and say Mike McCarthy's not a good coach, and they will say these things, and that's fair. However, Tampa Bay has something to play for. Mike McCarthy may not be the best coach in NFL, but John, why are these guys playing? You're in the locker room. Why are they playing so hard for Mike McCarthy? Because that team needs to get in the playoffs. Tampa does. And Dallas, for the most part, really kicked their teeth in. I thought they played great defense outside of that first drive where it's like you got a lot of Bucky Irvin, but outside of that, they did a great job. They beat.
Was that the first time seeing the Cowboys defense bounce back from getting punched in the mouth in the run game?
Yes.
Was that our first time actually see them like make an adjustment and come back and be like, oh, they got it under control now. That was impressive to me. There was a lot that came from that game, man. There was a lot that came from that Tampa Bay game that I think just as a fan perspective, I feel like they showed some things that just typically we haven't seen in the fabric of this Cowboys team. Just from a mentality standpoint, how they approach things psychologically. I just feel like we said earlier, man, Micah, and just how he's been kind of setting the tone with what he's been saying, but also kind of bagging it up with his play on the field. I feel like he's been saying and doing a lot of the right things. And when you're a Cowboy, you're the biggest star on the team, it's easy to get hypercritical and kind of discuss these guys within hyperbole. But at the end of the day, bro, Michael Parsons is a young man. We're seeing him grow right before our eyes. And I think Tampa Bay was a really, really good growing experience. That was the game where it's like, all right, y'all showed us something. Let's go ahead and let's settle down now.
Yeah, they clearly play for him. I think on the outside sometimes it's easy to look past that aspect because Mike McCarthy doesn't carry himself like Nick Sirianni, where he's trying to fight fans and
A big
yell
rah-rah
at people.
guy.
Yeah, he's not trying to get in players' faces on the sideline and stuff. And so I think that fans don't see that, so they don't think of it as, oh, these guys want to play for this guy. But yeah, there's no question that Mike McCarthy knows what he's doing. He knows how to coach football. I've never disputed that. The only thing I just keep going back to is, if you told Jerry when he hired Mike that these would be the results, I just can't believe that Jerry 5 years ago would have been, we're going to do another contract. But the thing that is so telling to me is that there aren't any other leaks around the league coming out about, oh, look out for this person as a possible coaching candidate for the Cowboys. Look at this person. There's really nothing like that. And because of that, and the reason why I point to that too is it's not like the team just started falling apart last week. It's been headed in kind of a shaky direction really since maybe after week 1. When you start getting blown out by the Saints and the Saints are so bad that they fire their coach midway through the season. That's not a good look.
Right.
And so there's been plenty of time for names to be floated out there, and there's nothing that's coming back. And so because of that, every day that goes by and that doesn't happen, you're kind of sitting there going, well, then it's got to be McCarthy. Who else would they hire if there hasn't been anything leaked at all? I just can't believe that the Cowboys would be that good at keeping the secret unless they just still don't know. And if that's the case, then that looks really bad. But I'm glad. The reason I'm glad we got on this topic is I wanted to ask you guys this. As a GM, obviously Jerry's very criticized, deservedly so. Owner, I don't think there's any questioning, like the business side of it. He obviously knows what he's doing. He's very successful. But the GM, Jerry, is what people are critical of. Are you more critical of Jerry, the GM, if he sticks with Mike, or if he goes in another direction? Like, which one shows you that, hey, you know what? I do have some confidence that he knows what he's doing. Which one of those scenarios?
I'll start it off. For me, I would say that if he sticks with Mike John, I would say this shows great patience. Now, here's what could happen if you don't. If you blow this up, you have to have a 4 to 5 year plan of getting all of Mike's stench off of this team. And we had to have that same deal with Jason Garrett.
Right.
And it's an old saying, if you stop mining, you may not hit the coal. And so if you stop digging, you may not get the gold. Unfortunately, I feel like this season has been obliterated by injuries, and it's a real thing. Unfortunately, that's a real thing. So to me, if he had Dak all year, hey, you got to go, Mike, because you have a top 10 quarterback. The offense looks suspect. You've had this excuse. If he had Micah all year, you have a top 10 defensive player on the defensive line. If he had Tank all year, if he had Trevon Diggs all year. But as fans, as people who cover the game like yourself, me, Law, AOC, we can sit here and criticize. It doesn't work that way. Going in and just thinking that, like you gave a great example, the Saints. The Saints have been on a downward spiral since the Cowboys game. This thing is week to week, man. And so you just throw it away. And let's say you bring in a hot coordinator who can't handle what comes with coaching for the Cowboys. Can you handle, as a coach, walking in the airport and seeing your face every day, every topic, all year? There's not a day that ESPN doesn't have a Cowboys topic. So not to be long-winded, but I think it shows patience.
Well, it also shows the tolerance for ambiguity, and those are the words of Jerry Jones, right? Seriously. So there was an article that's out there from Mike Fisher, reportedly stating that inside rumor states that the Cowboys' Mike McCarthy may turn down the deal that Jerry Jones is offering. Now, I don't know the validity of that, but I can say this, that Mike McCarthy, compared to other Super Bowl winning coaches, he's getting paid peanuts. So that could be a situation there. But if it is a thing that they bring him back for another cup of coffee, the problem is that they waited to the end of life of his contract. So it got to be some type of concessions got to be made, Mike. Mike got to go into Jerry Jones and say, hey, give me some levels of autonomy here. So that I can, so I can do X, Y, and Z things. What'd you say?
I know what it's going to be. To play on exactly what you said, that was perfect. Right. That was a perfect lead in. The only time, John, that I'm going to start, because I put it like this, to answer the question simply first. No, I won't look at Jerry sideways if he brings back Mike McCarthy, because I think within a reasonable world, you look at this entire situation, you look at how things started, how things kind of like leveled out a little bit, and then how the team fought back a little bit, considering everything that kind of went against the team. Within reason, you're like, all right, he probably should get another crack at this. That's not really a fair shot. But on top of that, I think that I would only start looking at him crazy if Mike McCarthy ends up coming back and he doesn't do something to make him look better next season, which means go offense in the first round. And I'm serious. Like, to me, that would be baffling because you're bringing back Mike McCarthy. You saw how much your offense has struggled because the defense is really what's come alive towards the end of the season to kind of help stabilize this thing, right? Without that defense and them giving short fields and giving multiple tries without the other team scoring towards the end of the season, the offense, I don't know if they're keeping up with some of these teams. You don't bring Mike McCarthy back without having a plan. If you bring Mike McCarthy back, you go defense, and you don't really add any weapons to this. And it's like, all right, what is the plan now? Because you want us to run this back with the same thing? Like, what's the plan? That's when I'm going to look sideways. You can bring Mike back, but there has to be some addition somewhere. So, like, that's the concession I think has to be made is Mike comes back and he's like, hey, I need a little bit more money, and I need to be able to get some guys to help me look better. And that's just what it is.
You know, I think to stay on AOC's point, I think that what I would probably do is not strip down. I think that I would say, okay, what is your wish list to say this team now can get over the hump? And I would probably, now they're going to let Mike be involved in the draft, but I would say, you know what, Mike, we're going to go 100% what AOC said. We're going to go get what you need in free agency on the defensive side of the ball, and we'll let you have the draft on offense. I think that would be my plan because we've seen with less and with developed guys, John, Zimmer was able to put something together defensively.
He put that
now,
together,
it wasn't
bro.
perfect,
He put it together,
and the numbers will be skewed, but with a full season of Micah, this defense is what it is. I think you go get corner help. I think you go get
Bland's not getting enough credit, by the way.
Oh, he's been
Bland's not getting enough credit for how he kind of shifted the dynamic of this defense because that's also kind of when the defense really hit the light switch. When Bland came back, it kind of stabilized that defense a little bit. Micah and him coming back has been great. But
he's been locked down.
But Bland being back has absolutely been as big of an impact as Micah being back out there, bro. You can see it. You can just see it, man. So he needs to get more credit, and I think we just need to bring his name back up because since he came back from that foot injury, the defense has looked different. It's been turnover-wise. They've generated more turnovers, too.
15 since Parsons came to the mix, too. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we still drafting BPA. I don't think that the Cowboys will pass up on Abdul Carter just to appease Mike McCarthy because he's back. And I think that Mike McCarthy knows and understands that defense still – and I get the point. I'm not walking away from this AOC. But defense still win championships, in my opinion.
Oh, Lord!
Defense still do. But think about it. The championship,
we had 60 points scored in the last two
championship
Super Bowl games,
that
man.
doggone Mike McCarthy won. He had Cullen Jenkins. He had Clay Matthews, A.J. Hawk. He had Charles Woodson. He had B.J. Rozzi. You know what I'm saying? So he had Tramon Williams. So he had defenses in that 2010 team, too, though. It wasn't just all offense.
They all wasn't first-round blue chippers, though, man.
True that,
those
though.
Are blue-collar guys.
How can you explain passing up on Abdul Carter? How can you explain
if Luther Bird and Aston Gentile, that's how you explain that. Give me a weapon, man. Hey, man, Abdul, I love you. We got 111 from Penn State already. Give me a weapon, man.
You wouldn't want to have two?
No, sir. I want 2 CeeDee Lambs out there on offense. That's what I want. That's what I want.
What you got, John? What you got, John?
Oh, shit. We got 150 people in the chat, John. So
this is crazy.
All 150 people, I appreciate y'all for rocking with us day after Christmas. Everybody in the chat, tell John to get a green screen.
Hey, make sure you guys in the chat go subscribe and hit the like button as well. AOC hit it on the
Real talk. We need 1,000, y'all. Damn, we need 1,000. Damn.
Come on, and subscribe for your boys.
Hey, John, what are your thoughts on that subject?
I'm fine with the receiver thing. I'm fine with the running back in the first round. Yeah. But I'm just telling you, with this team, you cannot, especially because of the Zach Martin situation, you cannot 100% rule out them using a high pick on an offensive lineman. I'm just
Lord.
that's just the
my
way that they
gosh,
operate,
bro.
man.
He about to make me sick to the stomach.
I know. I know you guys are be happy about
throw
that.
up my fruitcake.
I'm just saying you cannot completely rule it out.
Hey, John. Let me ask you this. Some of the big name free agents that have become free agents because they have become bigger names of how they play down the stretch. Osa, Chauncey Golston, Jay Lou. Out of those three, am I missing anybody, guys? Okay, I know Law, you're good with those.
Yeah, I'm good with those guys. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, I know you know the free agents. Sometimes I forget who's under contract, who isn't.
Brock gonna be a free agent. We talking about this defense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to say because Turpin and Brock gonna be free agents too.
Yeah, Turpin and Brock. But I think that I actually believe that Brock is restricted or.
Yeah, I think he's an RFA. I'm not sure.
Okay, and then Kendricks. Yeah. Okay, so let's stay on the defense side of the ball for right now, John. What is your vibe that you're getting? Guys that they may bring back, guys that have now outpriced themselves, and you guys feel free to jump in because I'm gonna tell y'all, I do believe they can get Golson and Jay Lou back. I don't know if they can get Osa back the way he's played as of late.
I agree with
think
that. What you said. I can't disagree with that. I just think that whatever they can say right now about Osa, it won't matter in March because if there's teams out there, which I believe there will be, because it's just so hard to find good defensive tackles, good young defensive tackles at that in the league that are still ascending. I just think that he's going to get into a price level that they're not going to be willing to pay. And because of that, then that leaves a major hole at defensive tackle. And so obviously that could be considered in the first round too, if that's the case, because I don't know, maybe Zimmer, if they stay the course, keep this coaching staff, if it's with Zimmer, maybe Zimmer thinks he can piece it together at D tackle with some veterans that are obviously not going to be as expensive. But my time covering the team, I find it hard to believe that they're going to be able to re-sign Osa. So the other two, though, yeah, that's a possibility. The thing I'll say about Chauncey, though, is that, I do get the feeling that they have high hopes still for Sam Williams and for Marshawn Nealon, sorry. And so because of that, I don't know. I mean, I just don't think that there'll be as much money out there for Chauncey Golston as some of the others. So that is a possibility. But yeah, Jordan Lewis is another one. I mean, depending on what the money is out there, I could see him coming back because I do know he genuinely likes being a Dallas Cowboy. He likes playing in this Mike Zimmer defense. He's obviously coming off of what's probably his best season. So I think that those are possibilities for sure. Brock Hoffman, all of that stuff. You mentioned Turpin, all that. Osa's the one where I'm just like, I just think his price tag is going to get too high for the Cowboys.
Yeah. And now AOC, if we did something like I could see this pairing where it would be like receiver, D tackle, running back, or running back, D tackle, receiver. And here's why. This is a really loaded D tackle class. I think everybody's talking about the running back class, but I mean, you got guys like Walter Nolan, Sawyer can play a little DN. He can play some edge, TJ Sanders. I mean, Derek Harmon. This is a really Ty Robinson from Nebraska. I know I'm getting a little in the weeds, but this is a really loaded D tackle class. I'm okay with going offense, defense, offense. Let me turn it over to Law here. Law. You said something about possibly bringing Cooks back. Where does your faith in Jalen Tolbert? I know how I feel about Tolbert. I know how others may feel about Tolbert. Do you feel like he can still get better, or has he reached his ceiling?
At this point, man, to me, he's a poor man's Terence Williams, And T. Will would have been able to be better in this offense. And every time he caught the ball, it seems as if though he was falling. But I would say this with Jalen Tolbert, if he's here for another year, of course. So the Cowboys, they love their projects. Look how long we held on to Noah Brown, right? So I think that the Cowboys may fall into the mindset to keep Jalen Tolbert. He's good off the field. You don't have to worry with that. I hear that he's good inside the locker room. So he better be. He better be.
His play ain't going to justify being nothing else. He better be shit.
So out of all of these projects that we had going and dating back to the Devon Streets of the world, I think that Jalen Tolbert will be here, but the price tag of Brandon Cooks may be too high. But
you think so?
It may be too high for the Cowboys' liking, so they may allow him to test. They may allow him to test the market. But I'm with the belief you draft young there. You continue to say, hey, you got Mingo, you got Flo, you got Tolbert, and then you go get a draft pick, and then you already paying kangaroo money for CeeDee Lamb. So I think that would be the route, and you tell Cooks, hey, man, unless you take a real ultra team friendly, you like flying planes during the off season, we got hangars out here. You got the workout boxing thing with Tony Mack, all your boys. Let's continue to work this out here. Play for peanuts and we got you. But if you want to ask for too much money, there's the door. I think that
I'm with CFT. I'm with CFT. CFT in the chat said, I'm tired of everybody named Jalen. Me too. Me too.
Go ahead, John.
You wrote down the depth chart of what this team will probably have, that you look at it right now, what they'll have next season from what they have right now, without predicting, knowing what they're going to do in the draft. I think that you would feel fine at number 1 receiver and then 3, 4, and 5.
I know.
The number 2 receiver spot's what you're missing. And it's the same thing at running back. Like you feel like you can probably get by with the offensive line. You have your franchise quarterback, but it's just like when I look at that depth chart in my mind of what this team looks like right now that they'll have coming back, the 2 biggest holes to me are your number 1 running back, like a game-breaking running back, and that number 2 receiver. And I don't think any of these receivers on the roster have done enough for you to go into next season and go, okay, no, this is our number 2 right here. That's what.
But you think they're going to at least hold on to Jalen Tolbert, though, John, right? They're going to at least hold on to him.
Yeah,
he's on the roster.
Tolbert, but I think he's more of a 3 right now.
True.
And if he takes another step in year 3 and performs like a 2, then, hey, you're thrilled about it. But like Foots, I've seen you tweeting a bunch of stuff about a Mecca from Ohio State. Like, to me, you don't have to use the 1 on there. Maybe you get him in the second round or maybe, I don't know, maybe his stock goes so high, maybe you have to use a 1 there. But like somebody like that you can piece in with CD, there'll be some growing pains early because he's a rookie receiver, whatever, going to get used to the offense, gives him a little bit of time. But hey, this is at least a 2 right here. Who knows? Maybe it can be like Amari Cooper and CD where you have 2 1s. But you got I just feel like there's a hole there at the number 2 receiver that I don't think you can, if you're honest with yourself, look at it and go, oh, no, we're good there.
Yeah, you can't ignore it anymore.
Well, first of all, shout out to John for checking out my draft rants because that means the world to me for the great John, AOC, and Law watching my draft rants. Hey, I'll say this, guys. I had a lot of hope for Jalen Tolbert. I don't see it. And I think that we're all on the same page of, hey, man, you don't need the best receiver in this class, but you need somebody who can constantly get open consistently, and it's not going to go, John, AOC, I'm so tired of going a quarter, 2 where it's like CD or nothing in high-level games, right? Yeah. This game was close to high level, but Dallas wasn't playing for anything. I'm talking about where you're playing the Niners on the road, and they're bracketing CeeDee Lamb. Can we find another receiver who can beat the team's number 2 corner?
Yeah.
Where is that guy? That guy is a Mecca. That guy could be Luther Burden, like you said. I have some questions about his route running. Like, for me, this is my thing when it comes.
And you like his yak, huh? You like his yak.
I love his yak.
Yeah.
But see, I'm gonna tell you now. This is where it's gonna be, and we'll get into the weeds, Law. But we could give him a preview when it comes to Mike McCarthy, West Coast offense. You got to be where you're supposed to be now. That is Emeka Ibuka. That's not going to be Luther Burden because the learning curve for him is, I think it'll be steep because he was a guy that played in the offense where it was like, quick game right now, throwing the ball, just go beat everybody. That's not Mike McCarthy's bag. He wants you to know, hey, we're putting CD in a slot on this play. You need to know the edge and you need to know how to get open, run the space, run the grass, all those types of things. So I think that part of it will be extremely interesting. Now, here's another person that I want to ask you about on the offensive line, AOC. Terence Steele. So we talked about the receiver position. We're going to talk about the running back position here. But let's talk about the line because I have thoughts. This offensive line is not as bad as everybody made it.
It is not.
Early on in the year. And John just hit it. With a good explosive back, this offensive line can be good. Enough. They can be Green Bay-esque. How do you feel about Terence Steele? Is he the weak link? Is he a June 1st cut? What do you think, AOC?
I think the Cowboys front office is going to be a little bit too prideful to cut him. I just don't think that they're in the business of doing things that essentially let people know that, hey, you guys were right about this.
Yeah.
I think that Terence Steele is going to be here. I think that he has played better, by the way. He has started to play a little bit better, especially since Zach has went down. So I'm really starting to wonder, was there like a continuity issue? Was there some overcompensation going? Like, what was going on that where the whole line was kind of thrown in flux? Obviously, Guyton, he's had a rough year. But I think Terence Steele he's going to be back, bro. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
And people hate to hear it. I think he's going to be back. I think he's going to be back.
I don't
And the
hate to
main
hear
reason
it.
I think he's going to be back is because we haven't heard anybody really call his name. We haven't heard anybody bring him up. We haven't heard Jerry. We haven't heard his name come up at all. And I think he's going to be back.
Anybody want to chime in?
No, I just think that T Steele, he do still have a little grit to him. It's just that sometimes he
Great
has
run
some
blocker.
Yeah, he, as you can see, right? And that's what you want. And maybe we just got too pass happy, you know, in the beginning. And then there was some stipulations of drop-off from Zach Martin that overcompensation could have occurred. So the Terence Steele situation, it will be a money thing. Because you can save $10 to $12 million if you cut him, make him a post. What is it? Post June, something like that. Cut. But I don't think that
June 1.
June 1. Yeah. So I don't think the Cowboys operate that way. By the way, I think that they look at it like, hey, this storyline, we the ones that found the undrafted rookie, right, and started him,
bro. Yep.
Right. So we can continue to develop him and can be part of our brand.
That's
story.
a feather in Jerry's cap right
That's
now.
a feather,
bro.
yeah.
Terence Steele performed way above what he was supposed to, and that makes Jerry and the people around Jerry look better, bro. So I just don't think Jerry's gonna be in the business of trying to get rid of players that actually makes him seem competent at his job. So
True that. But hey, before we get off of this, I just gotta ask you one thing, Foots. Savion Williams versus the Jaden Higgins kid from
This is a great one.
Yeah. Which one of those boys that you would like to see paired up with CeeDee Lamb if we can get Amika?
You talking about over Burt? Oh, you talking about the kid from Iowa State?
I'm talking about in the second. I just want to pick your brain on those two boys right there.
So it's him. It's Noel and it's Jaden Higgins, two Iowa State kids. I'll be at the Senior Bowl. I'll get coverage on both of them. I'll send them to you, Law, and we get you blast it on your channel. Here's the deal. Savion Williams, and remember we said this. John timestamped this. AOC timestamped this. He is going to blow up the combine. He's a Bruce Feldman's freaks list. It would not surprise me, because we've been doing this a long time, Law. Would not surprise me if he creeps up to the top of the second, maybe even first round, because when you look at his size, when you look at what he does after the catch, and what teams will say is when they go to the combine, they look at him versus other receivers, they'll say he's already physical. He doesn't have a lot of production, but they'll look at TCU's offense, and they did a lot of like direct snaps, and like they basically used him as a chess piece versus a receiver. When he goes through receiver work and he runs that 40 at 6'4", he's the best athlete at receiver this year, and it's not close.
Wow.
The problem is there will be teams who say, how fast can he pick up on a NFL offense, Law? And so when you look at Higgins, he's played on the edge before. He's been that true X. But with Savion, Savion, in my receiver ranking, he was number 6 for that reason, 5 or 6 for that reason, because the athleticism and the run after the catch. This isn't Laviska Shenault. Shenault was a 5'10", 5'11" guy. This dude's 6'4", true 6'4", and his
225.
Hey, Law, and guys bounce off of this kid. I mean, he's the one receiver who I see this year who, if you're asking me, it would be Savion Williams, Law, for sure.
Hey, while you guys are talking about the receivers, let me just add this in here. If Mike McCarthy does stay, I would lean away from Luther Burden too, because I believe Mike McCarthy's ideal receiving group would be like the one he had in 2010 in Green Bay, where it's like Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver. It's all those like 6'1" and above.
Possession and bigger body receivers. Yeah.
Big boys.
So that fits in more with Emeka Ibuka, I would think, than it would with like a Luther Burden. Also, to the point of when you talk about a Luther Burden or a smaller receiver and stuff like that too, it makes me think like sometimes in another offense, Kevontae Turpin would probably be more productive than he is in this West Coast. Like, I mean, I watch a lot of, the Detroit Lions and what Ben Johnson does. And if Kevontae Turpin was in that offense, I just think there'd be a lot of different ways that they would probably get him involved, where this is more of your traditional West Coast, which they find ways to use Kevontae, but there's always a part of you that you're kind of like, man, it feels like they could maybe do a little bit more, just maybe something else, where I think if McCarthy stays as head coach, I would look more to that 6'1" or above receiver if they're going to use the first round or second round pick on one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, Law, that was a great question. And John, you're spot on. I mean, McCarthy, we know his thing is timing. Ball out. Yeah. You need to be where you're supposed to be.
Dak too. I mean, it's not just Mike. That's Dak's big thing too. He appreciates guys who are precise in their route running, who are precise in their timing, breaking their routes off at the right time, being at the right spot when they're supposed to be, being able to read coverage. So that's the other thing you're looking at is which one of these guys are like the highest IQ type of guy. You got to think who's going to complement Dak, bro. Because what you're looking at, you don't have 3 or 4 years for Dak to get comfortable with a guy. You got to bring someone in that's automatically kind of going to be on the same page with him already and at least approach the game from the same standpoint mentally. That's that's really going to be one of the biggest things for me. As long as they get a receiver that's Dak friendly, big body, 6'1" or above, wide catch radius, can go up and get the ball when he needs to, and understands where he needs to be on the field at what time, then I think he'll be fine, bro. We need the route runner. Whoever's the best route runner, that's what we need.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you. I mean, both the TCU's kids, Beck and Savion Williams, they'll both end up getting drafted. So that's a good hit right there, Law. Yeah. Now, I'm watching the Tampa Bay game, and John kind of touched on it, and I want your guys' thoughts. Rico's been going. And then this game was the game that I said, told you guys. It's not, and it was.
He was waiting.
And so it's not a knock at Rico because I'll tell you, that Bucks D-line is good. Like, Vita, the Bucks are designed not to let you run the ball. So that's just, but you saw in that game, there were just times Rico made nobody miss. He had really like no true burst. And so how do we feel about the running back position as a whole? Is it like, are we still, hey, Rico could be a lead guy? Was it the scheme in the line? How are we feeling there, y'all?
I'm pruning the running back room. I'm making hard cuts. I'm getting rid of Deuce Vaughn. I'm bringing back Hunter Lupke and
Zeke gone.
Zeke gone. I hate to say this. I know, Stacy, you're a friend of the family, follow the show or what have you, but your son is gone, in my opinion. Damn. I'm gonna get a call too.
No, you're not about to just slide past that.
He finna call me too. He be like, "Hey man, I got $10,000 for you."
He's trying to slide past it like that. He's like,
I like Zeke,
you're
man.
a friend
Zeke
of the family. Your son is gone. No, man. We're gonna. Hey, man.
Hey, listen, Zeke has gotten his flowers. This is the league.
He got his flowers, man. I don't know what else I can say, man.
Right. I want my flowers while I'm living.
But I'm just saying, though, man, you got to go into this thing because I'm bringing back Hunter.
Yes.
Hunter is a staple piece for me, and I'm going into this draft. And if Rico is willing to come back for a cup of coffee, a real low deal, then I'm bringing him back. Malik Davis, he can taste the market and see what he can get out of that if he's not signed for a futures contract. And I'm just revamping everything. Going into this 2025 season with the mindset that we are now about to draft. When the last time we drafted a running back outside of Deuce Vaughn? Was it Tony Pollard?
Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
So it's time, ain't it, right,
he was
John?
a converted receiver.
It's time, John. It's time for this Cowboys. And maybe you can nudge Jerry and Steven and let them know, hey, man, it's time to go into this draft.
The fans want
Back.
weapons. Be like, John, hey, man, guys, the fans want weapons. How do you feel about that?
I don't know how they could. I mean, forget what even we're saying. I don't understand how they could even watch the product this year and go, no, we're good at running back. We're fine now. Like, I just don't get how that could be a possibility, especially because most of us said that we don't understand why they weren't drafting one these last 2 years when you knew they weren't going to give a big future contract to Tony Pollard after they gave him the franchise tag. So even with Rico coming back and Hunter Lipke and like you mentioned Malik Davis, that's fine. You still need to draft a running back, and when I say that, I mean in the first 3 rounds. It's not. I look at Rico and they look at him at talent wise as that's why they didn't use the 3rd or 4th round pick on a back, because they thought Rico fit in there. That's fine, but you need another back that goes in there, and probably someone that has a little bit juice in a little bit different way than Rico, even if you bring him back. But yeah, that running back room needs some youth in there and needs some juice. And I don't know how else you do that unless you do it in the draft in the first few rounds. And then the biggest part about it is I lean heavily on a lot of my draft stuff with Dane Brugler, because he's the draft guy with The Athletic, and I've just known Dane for a long time. He's a friend of mine, and I just know the process and everything that he puts into it.
Shout out Dane Brugler.
So because of that and the way he talks about this running back class, I'm like, there's just no excuse not to be drafting a running back high. Like there's so many options. Why wouldn't you be using it when it clearly was not a strength this year?
Yeah. I think, you can't look at, the Baltimores of the world, the Green Bay. Green Bay is the example that I'm really leaning into, guys, because I got to tell you, as like the analyst in me, like the person who loves film, I watch Matt LaFleur scheme up stuff with Josh Jacobs. I know Saquon is by far, he's killing it yardage wise.
Yeah,
man, Josh Jacobs they're gonna be a tough out in the playoffs because of their running style and the way he runs. Like he literally is taking teams' soul because he doesn't go down on first contact. He is like, and that's what I saw too many times this past Sunday with Rico. It's like he never makes the first player miss ever. And it's
real quick on that. How about the fact that they're the only team in the NFL without a run of 30 or more yards? Their longest run is 27. How do you not have
that's
one?
A good nugget,
How
John.
do you not have one
I didn't even
where
know
a guy
that
goes the wrong way or something? How do you not have one? That's all I'm asking
That's crazy, John. I did not know that.
Wow.
Every team in the league has at least a 30-yard run or more. Their longest run is 27 yards.
Like, and that goes to AOC's point about explosiveness and weapons. And
y'all talking about some damn linebackers, man.
Let's go get Scatterboo, baby. Scatterboo.
And I tell you, little cheat sheet. You guys watching the playoffs, man, watch these guys because a lot of these guys are still in there. Genty, it bothers me that because Genty is mocked to the Cowboys, there's like this hipster deal where like, oh, we don't take him because the world wants to take him. It's like, well, when did that start being a thing? If the guy's good.
I love that you said that. That is such a good way to put it, because that is especially Twitter. The hipster that is so. Oh no, that's not cool. Everybody says that's not cool. It's the dumbest thing.
John, John, you my dog, because this is like, you don't know how many people AOC that are like literally trying to tear this kid down. Oh, he's been in college for. I'm like, are we serious? What are we doing? Like he's no Zeke or he's no. Are you watching the kids blocking for him at Boise State? People don't know his story. He actually chose not to decommit from Boise State. He actually had an opportunity to transfer, to jump in the transfer portal. Like every college in America wanted him this last year and the year before that. He chose not to.
The thing I like about him the most is, bro, even if he gets met at the line of scrimmage or behind, he's making that first guy miss.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the Cowboys and the way we run the ball, have run the ball historically the last 5 years or so, man, we need that guy, man. We need that guy that's going to make the first person at the line of scrimmage miss. Because you're not going to have wide open gaping holes like we got Travis Frederick and all these guys in there. That's not happening right now. So we need somebody who's going to make a guy miss and then have enough burst to get through the damn alley and go, bruh. And go.
Yeah. And the crazy argument is because where he's playing at, that means if that's the case, then next year the next running back better do the same thing. Then
It better be another 2,000-yard back in the Mountain West or wherever. I think
the other one that blows my mind though is the whole Michigan thing. Like that's such a fan thing. That's fine. Be fans and be against that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. You are out of your mind if you think professional scouts go, oh, whoa, he's got a Michigan helmet on. We don't do that. Not around here. You lose your job. You would lose your job if you scouted like that.
Do you not remember Taco Charlton?
Hey, I'm gonna say this
but wait a minute. Let's pass up on Aiden Hutchinson because of tacos.
I was about to say Aiden.
And I hate Michigan, so don't make me defend them.
Wow. I'm just playing. I'm just speaking for those people.
That on Twitter, and it makes me laugh because that's fine. Do that for fun. Watch the games on Sunday. Say that stuff. If that was your job, to put food on table for your children, you would not be going, oh, well,
No, absolutely not.
That's
Absolutely
how you
not.
get fired.
You're right.
So
you're
John,
right.
John, are you a
Hey, that's not a
Michigan
Jets.
State?
I like
Are you a
Mike,
Michigan
John.
State guy? What are you? You know?
No, I'm a diehard Florida State football fan.
Oh, you're a Florida State guy.
Yeah. since I
Whoa,
was a
wow.
little
Hey.
kid, yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
speaking of that, hey John, there's people that do that though. You know, there was a report came out about the Jets owner got his teenage grandchildren in the room with him making
Owner.
decisions
Not a scout.
based off of Madden ratings, man. They didn't trade for Jerry Judy because of his Madden rating, bro.
Exactly.
Lord.
And judging by how that organization is run, perfect.
Look at that
yes,
org,
do
yeah.
that. That's a good way to
Yeah.
be completely irrelevant. Is doing dumb
100%.
Yeah, let Aaron Rodgers recruit Devontae Adams on TV
Right.
and go on mission trips before this. Let him do all that. I listen. I'm 100% in agreement with John because I'll tell you this right now.
Yeah.
If Mason Graham is staring at you during the draft, I know we want weapon. We just did a whole show about weapons. You're drafting Mason. It's not even close. He's going to go top 10, 5, whatever, but we won't be picking it high. I just, to me, I don't think there's any way that you can't go into this draft and say, oh, you don't need a running back because you can get him in the second round. If you grade Genty a certain way, you draft him.
Yeah.
You don't say, and I want fans to understand this part. You don't look for a reason not to like a guy. I think that's silly. That's bad drafting. You don't look for a reason. Everybody, you can't take this or you can't, and then that's how you end up with you reach on a guy. And I'll tell you this, with Mozzie, people can say what they want about Mozzie Smith. He looks pretty good under Mike Zimmer. Like it's not. Yes, we.
He look alright. He was getting ragdolled at the beginning of the season. He look alright. I give him
His
50-50
second
grade.
year.
50-50 grade.
New scheme. But you also have a Dan Quinn who coached his. Remember, his thing was get upfield. Well, Zimmer's whole thing is, hey, play at the line of
Fill your
scrimmage,
gaps.
play with hands, and Mozzie's played better. He's graded higher. I think he's been like in the 70s. From week 10 to now. So I just think that, last year and this whole Michigan thing, I don't think, because if that's the case, then what about Jay Lou?
All I ask is if we go defense. This is my only thing, man. All I ask is if we go defense, I don't want a guy that's just going to come and get 4 or 5 sacks. Bro, it has to be somebody that's going to change the dynamic of the defense. If we go defense in the first round, they need to change the dynamic of the defense, whether that be from a mentality standpoint or just what the defense is capable of doing as a whole. Don't just bring a piece in, bro. It needs to be like, okay, if you're going to bring Mason Graham from Michigan, I'm cool with that because to me, he's someone that's going to bring that real grittiness, that blue collar, like just that nastiness to the line. So that's fine because that's giving you a serious injection of something that you need as a team. But don't just bring a guy because he was a good guy in college and he can give you a couple of stats. No, bruh. No, you need difference makers right now. And I think the easiest way to get a difference maker, this is why I'm so heavy on offense, I think the easiest way to get a difference maker for this team, the positions is going to make the biggest difference for this team in the immediate future, in this 3 to 4 year window that we have, man, is going to be offense. That's why I'm leaning so heavy towards that. And I just don't think that a defensive guy is going to come in and make as big of an impact as a Mecca Ibuka would or one of those type of guys. I just don't.
Would you guys be angry if, let's say, they end up with we'll say 13th overall pick, and they ended up trading back to 20 to get like an additional pick?
No. Here's why.
I just don't want us to get too cute.
Man. Yeah, don't get too cute with it,
cute.
man. Yeah.
We did a bit of it a little bit. We did a bit of it a little bit to get Michael Parsons, right? We traded back how many steps?
It was
went
two.
back?
It was just two steps. It was just two picks, bro.
That's why I'm safe with. I'm safe with 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4, but not that far back from 13 to 20.
Hey, John, can I ask you, and Law, you may know this, if we do, will we get comp picks for Osa if he if somebody pays him?
Team.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but I mean,
we
you
would
wouldn't
get
be
comp.
until the following.
2026, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it would be 2026. It wouldn't be this year.
So this
Okay,
one would be the one where you would probably get stuff for Biotish and Dorrance Armstrong or Dante Fowler or guys like that,
Right.
We have
John,
3 5s this year, right, Law?
we have what?
3 5th round picks this year.
Oh, I don't even know the numbering. I
believe
just know we
have
got 10 draft picks. John, do any of that is stipulated on why the Cowboys really don't go and do the free agents too, because they kind of lean on those comp picks?
I mean, that's part of it.
It's strategy.
Sure. But I just also think that they just don't like spending money in free agency. I mean, you just look at the guys that they have paid. I mean, we were just talking about earlier, like Terence Steele, and when they've paid Jalen Smith and La'el Collins and Ezekiel Elliott, and there's just been a lot of guys that they have paid that it hasn't worked out with on their own team. So I think that's probably, and then it just goes back to, I think they look at across the whole league and go, okay, how many teams go about it that way and are really successful? And I will say, for most part, I don't think that they are. But this offseason, there's one that has to be looked at again, and that is certainly running back, because there's been too many running backs that went to other teams that have become big pieces. And they weren't real big investments you had to make, but they've been productive for those teams. So that's one that I think has been kind of interesting. There's been good return on investment on that running back spot. Now, I say that, and all the league will look at it that way. And now the running back price will go up a little bit in free agency, so it won't be as much of a bargain. But that's one spot where you look across the league, and there were some good running backs.
Yeah.
Which teams that ended up being good values for those teams? Obviously, Henry, Jacobs. I mean, even Tony Pollard.
And everybody in the offseason, man. The same thing y'all talking about with the Michigan stuff. And everybody in the offseason was trying to look for reasons to talk about why these dudes was washed, man. I'm sitting here like, bro, Derrick Henry is not washed. Josh Jacobs is not washed.
You're right.
What's the ceiling? What's the ceiling on running backs? What's the APY ceiling like? The highest paid running back APY. What is that?
Is it 20?
Is it 20 already?
Is it McCaffrey with 20? I think McCaffrey making like 20 or something.
Hey,
yeah, it could be McCaffrey.
I think it might be C-Mac, and even you talk about a football mind like Shanahan. He went out and said, "We'll make you the highest paid player in the league." While everybody's like, "Oh, you don't need a running back," and again, that's another hipster take. Oh yeah, these guys are out of in vogue, and you don't need them. Why did Shanahan say, "Hey, this guy unlocks my offense"?
Yeah, McCaffrey's at 19.
19. So what's really driving the price up for all of this is quarterbacks, wide receivers, and edge rushers, right?
Yeah.
Them the three that just
Speaking
making
of quarterbacks,
this thing
we
so
ain't even
crazy.
talk about one of the main topics people wanting to talk about right now is why does the team look so much better with Cooper Rush?
I haven't given that one.
Bro, I'm not
crazy.
I am not entertaining that, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
not doing
entertaining it, bro.
Oh my God.
Hey
I
man,
don't
if you're
even-
one of them people out there and you're watching the chat, go outside, get some good air. You need some good oxygen, bro.
Wait a minute,
Stop
though.
it. Hey, man.
His touchdown
I
to
saw
interception ratio is a whole lot better. He's 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Dak Prescott is 11 touchdowns for 8 interceptions for the last whatever games that they come up with. They are trying to drive this home that Cooper Rush. I made him get.
Hey, y'all got it, bro. I'll see y'all tomorrow, dog.
Oh my God.
One of my favorite things about it is,
Absolutely not.
so like, let's say your starting quarterback was Cooper Rush, so you'd save all that money.
Yeah.
What makes you think the Cowboys would spend it on in any area where it would really make it dramatic? Like you would be like, oh well,
Yeah.
we have a $15 million quarterback, so now we have Chris Jones at defensive tackle, and, we got Derwin James and Quentin Nelson, or something like that. Like they're not going to do all that.
Exactly, man.
They're
Like,
not
yeah,
gonna do
but-
it.
Hey,
Because
man,
here's the other
look.
thing: like, if let's say that was the scenario, your backup wouldn't be like someone as cheap as Cooper Rush. Your backup would have to be someone you're spending money on too, because it would be like one of those 2 quarterback systems. It wouldn't be like you're like, oh no, we just got Cooper Rush and we're good. No, then you'd also have to spend more money on a backup because there's a good chance that you're going to need that player at some point. So yeah I don't.
Yeah,
John, when you write the stories, when you watch the game, you there at all of the practices. How do Cowboy fans? It don't be the outside. It be the Cowboy fans to say Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott.
Man.
What's going on? Talk to me, John. Talk to me like I'm a third grader that just now turning on to football and things like that. What's going on with that?
I think what it is that you get 9 years of a franchise quarterback, and because you haven't won a Super Bowl, you'll look for anything that's wrong. And so there'll be certain throws that Cooper likes and he's better at than Dak is. There are a few throws I do believe that he throws better, but those are just small things. There's so many other things that Dak does better. So it's like, while like Cooper might throw this one throw better and he doesn't turn the ball over, he doesn't also give you as many opportunities to win big games.
No, Cooper should be turning the ball over. That man got to be the luckiest quarterback I have ever seen in my life, because he'd have had about 8 interceptions dropped already, man.
Turnover worthy.
Turnover worthy plays out the wazoo.
There is a little bit of that, but I think it's also just because Dak is the highest paid player in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what it is.
When your organization makes someone the highest paid player, they need to see those results instantly. Like, they need Dak to be in that conversation every year with Lamar, Josh Allen,
Burrows,
whoever's up for the MVP, Mahomes, whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously this year he wasn't in that category, even when he was healthy. And so that's why fans are frustrated. But yeah, if Dak had signed for, if he just doubled up his last contract for $40 million a year, I don't think fans would care as much. But what I just said earlier remains, I still believe it. I'm like, okay, so let's say they do 40 and he doesn't get 60. Where do you guys think that other $20 million is going to? Like, would you really get to see it? They'd have like
Zach when he hold out again. Zach when he hold out again, bro. They ain't gonna give it to nobody.
Yeah. I think too. Some of that is, John, when you see a guy for so long, it's like, oh, anything you think is better if he makes a play or two. It just goes to show for me that there's a path for this Cowboys team to be good again, fast. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with quarterback play. The defense came along, because you got to remember, this defense is getting stops now. Like, they look like a competent defense. They played Baltimore early in the year. The game was over before you got a drink of water. They played Detroit over. They played some of these offenses that were rolling. The game was over. So I think that's just what it is. I think what we're all saying.
Golly, hold on, Foots. We gotta do some housekeeping up in this month. Hey, man, I'm not that thirsty for not a single viewer. If you're gonna come in our comments and call in our conversation ghetto, you can get the skiddly diddly out the hell up out of here. Hey, man, I don't know what the hell y'all think this is, bro. This is not ESPN, FS1, Fox News, none of that. This is an independent platform. I will flame your ugly ass up. Get the hell out of our chat, fool. Get the hell out of here. If we ghetto, I'll show you ghetto. Get the stepping, motherfucker. You're gonna be walking down the street with 3 shoes on, 2 on your feet, and 1 in your dirty ass. Get out of here. I'll show you ghetto, motherfucker. Get out of here.
What's your point?
Get your ass up out of here, dog. We don't need you. We don't need you.
Oh my God. We may got to end on that. No, I can't. The only thing that I did want to say was, this team is and we're gonna talk about this as we go on.
Your mama loose Ghostface gaming. But go ahead. My bad.
Turn the chat off, AOC. Chat, listen, I've been called the dumbest person to chat on Twitter. I actually love laughing at it. Listen, there's a path to this team being back. And when we're talking about running the ball and like keeping it going and like being physical, I think that's all like that path of like, you know what? Let's keep going. Let's make teams tap out in that way. In that Green Bay and that Philly way, where they don't ask their quarterbacks to do too much, and when they do get 8-man boxes, it's one-on-one coverage. So that's where I see because let's be honest, Dak and Cooper Rush, it's not even a conversation. He's literally the 33rd ranked quarterback in the NFL. It's not a conversation. He's terrible, but he's serviceable in that way to where it's like when you see a good player, you're like, oh my God, he did something. But Dak does that on a regular. Now the philosophy for me has to change. That's where I feel. So y'all got anything else before we go?
No doubt. No. Hey, it was a great show altogether, man. Let's be competitive enough to make something change in this game going against the Eagles. They changed the schedule to 12 o'clock or noon game. I know John likes that because he get a chance to get up out of here, and have to be up all night. But let's go Cowboys, and hey, let's figure out what Mingo can do. Mingo.
All right, guys, that's the Cowboys Collective. We will see you guys here. Next Wednesday is New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So
Something like that.
stay
yeah.
on, stay. Hey, listen, you guys,
Yeah.
we changed the schedule up and we got more viewers. So y'all
Nah,
are
real
with
talk.
us. So that means the world.
I would have gave you away too, Ghostface. All right, my bad. That's my last comment to the chat.
Hey,
My
Ghostface,
bad.
listen, Ghostface.
I would have gave you away
Back.
too. She was right
Bring-
to do it. My bad. My bad. My bad.
Bring all your haters in here. One thing you can't do, Ghostface, is attack AOC. He gonna clap back. We're not entertained. John Machota, Law Nation, AOC. We love you all. Peace.
Yeah, let's get on up
Hey.
out of here.